Hey guys, how's it going? Posting up the link on the social media right now. So if you guys have any questions or if you guys are new here, basically what I do in this webinar is I pretty much go over, all the pairs. And if you guys have any specific questions, I can go ahead and break down an analysis for you guys. So if you guys have any questions regarding any pairs, or if you guys have any K2 questions or anything about trade psychology or anything like that, I mean, it's pretty much open, you guys, with regard to whatever you guys have questions for. But once I get this sent out to everyone, then we can start discussing the questions. Otherwise, I'm going to go over each pair and pretty much just analyze them to see if there's any entries for us. And then if we have questions, then I'm going to go over any questions you guys have as well. But let me just finish posting this on the social media. And once we have this ready to go, we can get started. All right, cool. Looks like we are pretty much ready to go, guys. So if you guys have any questions, feel free to put them in the, I don't know if anyone's on the Zoom. Let's see, so there's a few people on the Zoom, but if you guys are on the, you guys can either ask questions through the Zoom Q&A or ask questions through the YouTube chat. So either way, I'll see the questions and we can get started. So I'm just gonna go down each pair on this list, on our watch list. And I'm going to see if there's anything that we can enter. This candle isn't closed for another 3 hours. We're probably not going to have any entries until 10 o'clock, which is the next 4-hour candle close. But we'll just keep looking and see if there's anything last minute we can enter or if we can prepare for a move that might happen later today. This is one trade that I'm looking at right now. This is something that Jonathan asked me. So he asked me to look at CHFJPY right here. Once this bearish candle closed below this zone right here, then this would qualify for a K2 SR zone trading strategy. So basically, if you guys aren't familiar with the strategy, I'll just put the requirements here. K2 SR trading strategy. So it's real simple. The first requirement is just that you confirm a break and close past a K2 SR zone. And then you just want to identify the direction of momentum using the K2 momentum indicator. And then lastly, you can enter on the open of the falling candle. I don't know if you're on this call, Jonathan, but basically this is the breakdown that I just sent you. So basically, first you want to confirm a break and close past the K2 SR zone. So right here we have a bearish candle breaking and closing past the zone right here. It hasn't closed yet, so that's what we're waiting for. But price is already broke. So in 3 hours, when this 4-hour candle closes, if it closes below here, then that first requirement would have been met. The second requirement is to identify the direction of momentum using the K2 momentum indicator. So if you guys aren't familiar with the K2 momentum indicator, basically it's these vertical lines on the chart. So if we get a sell signal like this right here, this would be a confirmation of momentum swing downwards. So you can see how price comes straight down. Right here would be an invalid signal since it's a buy signal, but it has a red bearish candle. So as you can see right here, it just retraced up a little bit and then came crashing down. Vice versa, when we have a buy signal like this right here, and you can see that it's a green bullish candle within it, you can see that once price breaks this zone, and then we have the momentum here, price just shoots straight up to this next zone over here. So that's basically what we're anticipating for this right here. Once this closes below, we would have that confirmation. Plus on top of that, we just confirm the direction of momentum, which right here we have a sell signal. So once this requirement's been met, the second requirement has already been met because the direction of momentum is coming down, right? So once this candle closes in 3 hours, if it closes below the zone, it would qualify for a valid sell entry right here. So just like I mentioned right here, when this happened over here, price pretty much went from here and pushed up to this next zone. Same situation with what I anticipate happening right here. I anticipate price to continue down to the zone, and by the time it hits the zone, it would have hit our full TP. So this is something that I'm looking forward to, in the next 3 hours. But as you can tell, that's a long time. So a lot can happen between now and then. So I'm just going to keep an eye on this. I'm going to mark it with a highlighter. just to come back and look at around 10 p.m. And if it's there, then we'll take the trade. If not, then we'll skip it and look for another one. But let's see if there's anything else. So since we don't have any questions right now, I'm just going to go down the list, and then I'm going to look at each pair to see if there's any entries. But if you guys have any questions, feel free to just put it in the chat, and then I can go ahead and stop and answer your guys' question. But let's see. Okay, so we'll start off with odd cat over here. All right, cool. So for odd cat over here, basically, so I'll go back to that same thing I was just looking at with CHF JPY. This is the same strategy that I use for every single signal. So, you know, if you're in the premium and you see every single signal that I've sent and all these TPs that we've hit this week already, and it's only been, what is today, Tuesday? So it's only Tuesday and we've hit a ton of TPs already. And for these specific signals, this is the same strategy that I use for all of these signals. This is the only strategy that I've been using for the signals, I guess, for the past maybe 5-6 months. So if you guys want to be able to take all these trades on your own, you know, just learn the strategy. It's super simple. There's only 2 requirements. And if those requirements are met, you take the trade and then you pretty much let it run. You adjust your stop loss as it moves in profit. But yeah, so when I go down this list here, this is pretty much the strategy that I'm going to be looking at. And then on top of that, I also use other correlations. Like sometimes if I see an entry right here, then what I do is I generally like to look at other CHF pairs and JPY pairs to see if everything's moving in the same direction. Because if that's what's happening, then, you know, odds are that trade's probably going to hit for sure. And that's why our win percentage is so high, because I go through all these little checklists to make sure that this trade is 100% before I take the trade and before I give the trade to anyone else. But let's go and take a look at every active trade right now just to see where everything's at. So this is our odd CHF over here. It already hit TP1 and TP2. It was nearly at full TP over here, and then it rejected right off it. I'm actually out of this trade already because I moved my stop loss to TP2 once it came down here. But if you guys are still in it, it's technically still active. It looks like price is probably just going to be ranging within the zone until it either breaks above it or shoots back down. Same with our odd JPY right here. It hit TP2. I don't know if I called that. Let's see. Yeah, it did. So today at 3, I posted the update for odd JPY. It hit TP2 right here for 22 pips. It's still active, so and it's still coming down. So it looks like it should be coming down further. And this correlates with CHF JPY. That's why we're anticipating this drop right here, because our AJ position is coming down and also our EJ position is coming down as well. So those are 2 very strong correlations right there between the JPY pairs. Another active trade we have is odd USD right here. I think I called this, what was it, yesterday? Yeah, so I called it last night during the live webinar, and we hit TP1 already, and then it's still coming down right here to TP2. So this still looks good. See if there's anything else here. EJ, I just mentioned that. We hit TP1. It looks like it's going to come down further to hit TP2 right here for 31 pips. Our EN position right here, a lot of people are going crazy about EN because, you know, they saw that spike up. But just like I mentioned before, guys, you guys just have to, you know, sometimes you need to check yourself, and sometimes you need to just check your trade psychology, because the market's going to play games on you guys. It's going to push price up and it's going to make you want to close out of that trade. But look, if you close out of that trade, you would have closed out with a loss, right? And price right now is in profit. So that's why when I tell you guys to just, you know, let the trade be and let it breathe, do just that. Because if you guys just keep asking so many questions about the same trade and you guys just keep stressing yourselves out, it's going to force you guys to close the trade with a loss when you could have just waited, and here it is back in profit. So, you know, if that's an issue with you guys, don't worry, because that's a big issue with a lot of traders, especially a lot of new traders. You know, trade psychology is one of the hardest things for a lot of traders to overcome. So once you get that down and you can just trust your trade, that'll open up a lot of doors, and you can become a profitable trader a lot faster than you think you could. So that's EN right there. Our EJ's in profit, EN's in profit, EU's moving in profit. I think EU's going to come down because if you look at AU, it's coming down as well. What else is another correlation for that trade? GU right here is also coming down. NU is swinging up right now. So they're kind of going both ways. But for the most part, the USD looks pretty strong. Look at UCAD right here. UCAD's going up. That means that the US dollar is strong against the Canadian dollar. Same with UC over here. It's coming up, right? So if these are both coming up, That's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. There's 5 correlating US dollar pairs showing that the US dollar is in strength right now. So that's why I anticipate the Euro USD to come down. You know, it's probably going to bounce around right here until it just dumps. So that's why I'm not too worried about this trade. I mean, a lot of people are freaking out about EJ and EU. When I first called it, I think earlier this morning, I know I understand because like a lot of people, this is what they see. They see this drop right here, right? So they think that it's going to come back up and fill the gap. But the thing is, that's what the market makers and institutions want you to think. You know, if you trade like everyone else, majority of people fail at trading. So you can't fall for their tricks. You know, I know what I'm doing and I took this trade on purpose. Like when I call these trades, I actually take them on my own account. So you guys don't really need to worry about the trades that I call. But yeah, so that's it for the Euro trades, and they're all coming down. So if you look at, like I mentioned earlier, when I correlated the US dollar pairs, just correlate it with the Euro pairs as well. See our EJ's coming down, EN's coming down, Euro USD's coming down. And that's why I'm not too worried about this because they're all coming down. So it's kind of like a laggy response, but eventually, you know, if they're all coming down, this is probably going to come down as well. And the thing is, like, just don't second guess yourself and just let the trade be. You know, if it hits stop loss, it hits stop loss. It wouldn't really matter because how many TPs have we hit this week already, guys? Like if you guys look at our trades from, let's see. So this week started right here on the 11th, right? Let's count how many TPs we hit and let's count how many stop losses we hit. 1 TP, 2 TP, 3 TP, 4 TP, 5 TP, 6 TP, 7 TP, 8 TP, 9 TP, 10 TP, 11 TP. Where's the stop losses at? 0. And that's why I don't second guess any of my trades, guys. So that's why I'm saying, you know, don't freak out about the trades, guys. Just let it be and, you know, just trust the process because that's basically what's like what we're doing here. You know, we hit 12 TPs already, 0 stop losses for the week. So if you guys aren't there yet, you know, you'll get there. If you guys are new to K2, which I know a lot of you guys are, you know, just keep doing what you're doing and just keep, you know, working on your trade psychology, but eventually you'll start to grow thick skin and you'll start to understand, you know, how the trades work and, you know, why we take these trades. But yeah, so that's pretty much all the trades we have active right now. We have odd CHF right here. It kind of pulled back in the negative, but technically a lot of us are already out of this trade. Our odd JPY right here. You can see that price came down to TP2 and then it retraced back up. So some people might have gone stopped out, including myself in profit. But if you guys are still in that trade, it's still looking good. Odd USD right here, it's still coming down. Our EJ over here, still coming down as well. EN, it's coming down in profit. EU, it's pulled back a little bit, but I think it's going to come back down. And then our NZD CAD, this was from last week actually. So this was way back on the 7th. So I actually got out of this trade already. So it hit TP2 way down here. And then most of us closed this trade out before the weekend. So I don't even think anyone's still in this trade, but I still have it marked up because it hasn't hit stop loss or full TP yet. So until that happens, then I'll take it off the chart. But currently right now it's still active. It's pulled back. You know, generally I don't like to hold trades more than a day or even more than 2 days. So if you guys still have this trade active, it's like a really dangerous trade to hold because, you know, market generally shifts from week to week. So you can see right here, all of last week, it came down, right? Here we are in week 2 where it shifted upwards. I don't know how long this is going to keep going upwards for, but, you know, I wouldn't second guess it for it to go in the opposite direction. And this is why I always remind you guys that if you're in profit, you know, by weekend close, you guys should close it in profit. But if you guys are still in it, I think it's still okay technically right now. I don't know how long it's going to hold for, but you know, what I always recommend is to use the exit strategy. Don't like take a trade and pray that it's going to hit full TP. And especially if you're holding it for how many days now? Let's see. It's already 6 days, guys. That's a long time to hold a trade. And this trade, this pair moves really slow. So you can see right here, it's been 6 days. And in both directions, it's only moved about 45 to 33 pips. So a lot can happen with this pair. I'm not saying that it's not going to come back down because here's the thing. Price hasn't broken. Well, it's broken the zone, but it hasn't closed above it yet. So the thing is, if this candle rejects off this point and it doesn't close above this zone and it still closes within here, it can reject right off this point and come crashing straight back down. So that's why I'm not too worried about this right now if you guys are still in it. However, if you guys are still in this trade, I'd recommend that you close it in profit, because I never recommend holding a trade like this long. This is way too long to be holding it for. But yeah, so I think that's it for right there. I'm just going to go down and go over each pair, basically, see if there's anything that we can take. Otherwise, if you guys have any other questions where you guys want me to go in detail with something, feel free to put in the chat and I can look over it. But we've already looked at OddCAD. We've looked at OddCHF. That's one of our active trades. Our OddJPY. Looked at that too. Here's OddNZD right here. So for OddNZD, using the same exact strategy, here, I'm just going to go and copy that over here so that you guys can see. And I'm just going to analyze these trades specifically to this strategy, because this is the same strategy that I use for all the signals. If you guys want me to cover any of the other strategies, feel free to let me know, and then we can take a look at those more specifically. Let's check out the news to see if there's anything coming up today. I don't think there is. Let's see. All right. So for the news, we've got nothing for the rest of the night. So the last news was at 7 a.m., but for the rest of today, there's no other news coming up. Let me check the other ones, like the lighter news. I don't really mark the light news because they don't really affect the market. I only mark up the high impact and medium impact news. So it looks like there's still some news coming down from JPY at 9:30, which is in about 2 hours, but it's light news, so I don't expect it to affect the market at all. So I don't think that's gonna really cause anything to happen. So I'm just gonna put it back to there. Our next big news event is gonna be tomorrow at 5:30 a.m. It's gonna be some medium USD news. It's gonna be core PPI, and then we have some high impact AUD news tomorrow afternoon. So we're probably not going to trade Asia session until after this is passed. It's unemployment data. And I think Wade also mentioned that we have, Wade mentioned that the Fed speaking tomorrow. Yeah, Wednesday and Thursday. Yeah, I don't know why it doesn't show up on Forex Factory, because normally it would show up on here. Unless they're just not important. I mean, they've got to be important. They're the Fed, but we'll see how that plays out. I mean, if I don't see it on here and I don't see it anywhere else, then I'm probably just going to trade through it. However, if we see it somewhere, then maybe we'll use that to figure out, you know, what like how could it affect the market? Because technically it could affect the market, but I just don't know how much it would. But we'll see, guys, because US 30 has been acting weird this whole week anyway. So, you know, we might not even get an entry next week if, yeah, we might not get an entry tomorrow if it doesn't show up, but we'll take a look at it just to see. And let me just put this over here real quick. Yeah, because I think there was a couple of guys in here that wanted to see what the course looked like. So for the new people here, this is what the K2 course looks like. So when you sign up to the K2 course, everything is pretty much broken down here. So it has all of the K2 premium groups right here. My K2 watch list, if you want to have the same exact watch list that I have right here, you guys can go ahead and download that there and import it to your trading view so you guys can look at the same exact pairs that I'm looking at. And then, you know, the intro right here for all the new traders, the trading view functions and tools that I personally use, and then pretty much just the foundational things that you need, like trend lines, support, resistance, and I think that's pretty much it. And then the K2 momentum indicator that will give you the edge in the market that we all use when you make our entries. On top of that, we have all the K2 strategies right here, the official intraday strategy, the momentum pullback strategy, scalping strategies, the K2SR zone trading strategy. This is a strategy that I use for all the K2 signals. So if you guys want to learn that strategy specifically, which is what I recommend, it's probably the easiest thing to learn aside from the US 30 strategy. And it's super easy if you trade it on the 4 hour like I do. So we have that, the K2 pivot strategy. This is the most popular one right now as well. And and then the K2 daily US 30 strategy. So all the strategies are here if you guys want to take a look. And then we have all of the previous webinars over here, the exit strategies, and all of the results over here as well. So if you guys want to see every single trade that I've called in detail, you can go here to the K2 Trades Results Plus History, click on that there, and then everything is broken down here. So if you look right here, we have all the trades for each week for that month, right here for each week in detail, and then every single trade that was called broken down right here. So we have, every single day it's marked up, and it has all the trades that we have, the wins and the losses, not just the wins. So if you guys ever want to go back and take a look at this, feel free, guys. But yeah, okay, so let me get back to the charts. Kind of went off track there for a little bit. Okay, so we got some question now. So let's see. So we got some questions. We have a question from Business Ping. Can we use the K2 strategies with Bitcoin? Perfect. Yes, we can. You can. You can use it on any asset. The K2 strategies are based on momentum. So as long as there's volatility in the market, you can trade it. And Bitcoin, Bitcoin isn't always volatile, but when it is, you can see right here. So, depending on what strategy you wanted to apply, like say if you were applying the K2 pivot strategy, if you took this entry right here, you could have made a huge profit, right? It's like a $3,000 move right there, or point move, I guess. I don't trade Bitcoin, so I'm not too familiar with, how this moves specifically, but you can see right here, depending on what strategy that you want to apply and what time frame, there's a ton of entries here that you could have taken. So this would be the pivot strategy. So basically the way that the pivot strategy works is that, here, I'll just show you an example. So this is going to be the K2 pivot strategy. So first you want to identify the overall trend using the K2 pivots. Next you want to identify a retracement, pullback. 3, identify. Sorry guys, I haven't gone over the strategy in a long time, so I'm kind of rusty on it, but I still remember how everything works. So identify a rejection of K2 pivots area. And then lastly, identify a valid K2 signal. And then lastly, you can enter on the open of the following candle. So right here, you want to identify the overall trend using the K2 pivot. So basically, when price is above the pivots and the pivots are spread out like they are right here, and they're all angling in the same direction, that's going to confirm an overall uptrend. And you can see right here that it's pretty clear. Like when price is above it, the pivots are spread out and they're angling upwards. It's in clear uptrend, right? Even if you want to draw your own trend lines right there, you can do that. So you can draw it from right here, and you can see that it's clearly in an uptrend. So vice versa, when price is below it, so price is below the pivots right here, the pivots are angling downwards and they're spread out, that's a clear downtrend, right? So that's how you identify the trend. So first you want to identify the overall trend. Right here, it's clearly in an uptrend. Next, you want to identify a retracement pullback. So you can see right here, price comes up and then it pulls back right here, right? So price goes up this way and then pulls back in this direction. So that's requirement number 2 has been met. Third requirement, identify a rejection of the K2 pivots area. So as you can see right here, price shoots up, retraces downwards, and rejects off this area right here, which is in the vicinity of the K2 pivots. So requirements 1 through 3 have been met. Last requirement, identify a valid K2 signal. A valid K2 signal is going to be a buy signal with a green bullish candle within it. A valid sell signal is going to be a sell signal with a red bearish candle within it. So going back to right here, this will be a valid K2 buy signal, right? Because it's a buy signal with a green bullish candle. So now that all 4 requirements have been met, you can enter on the open of the following candle. So right here, we've identified the overall trend. Price is above the pivots. They're angling upwards and they're spread out. On top of that, you want to identify the retracement pullback. Like I mentioned right here, price came up and retraced downwards. That's requirement number 2. Requirement number 3, identify a rejection off the K2 pivot. So as you can see right here, as price comes up, it comes down and rejects off this area right here, right? That's requirement number 3. And lastly, a valid K2 signal right here. So right here, you'd enter a long position. You put your stop loss at the previous swing, which would be somewhere down here. And then you can put your, your TP equal distance away. And obviously you can see right here that it hits full TP. So easy as that. That's one strategy. There's a ton of other strategies as well. I mean, like here I mentioned over here, there's the intraday strategy, the momentum pullback strategy, the zone strategy, and the pivot strategy. And then this would be separate for indices. So that's one strategy right there. I mean, and then, okay, so this is one strategy right here. Another strategy is going to be the K2 intraday strategy. And this is a lot easier, but they both work just as well. So this is going to be the K2, I'll put the original K2 intraday strategy. So first, you just want to identify a valid K2 signal. 2, confirm the trend meter matches signal. And then after that, enter on the open of the following candle. So this is pretty simple. You just identified it's going to be the same exact entry. So this entry was a K2 pivots entry. It's also a K2 intraday strategy entry as well. So right here, identify a valid K2 signal. Like I mentioned earlier, this is a valid K2 signal because it's a buy signal with the green bullish candle. Second, confirm the trend meter matches the signal. So right here, it's both green and green, right? Basically what the trend meter down here shows is the overall trend. So for me, I have it set to the intraday settings, which is a 30-minute, 1 hour, 2 hour, and 4 hour. If price is trending up on all those 4 time frames, it's going to be green. If price is trending down, it'll be red. If it's blue, that means that price is it means that the trend is indecisive. So like we have 4 different charts here. I mean, 4 different time frames. If it's blue, that means that it's probably trending up on 2 of these, and then it's probably trending down on these 2. It can mean one of those 3 things, or it can mean that 3 of these are trending up and one's trending down, but it's not going to give you an overall trend. The only way it'll be an overall trend in one direction is if it's green or if it's red. So right here, the valid K2 signal is a buy signal right here, and then the trend meter is green. So obviously, if price is trending up overall and you have a momentum swing upwards, what are you going to do? You're going to take a buy entry. So right here, the same exact thing that you would have done for the other strategy, you enter a buy right here, put your stop loss at the previous swing somewhere down here, TP in the same direction, and there you go, full TP. Easy as that. And then again, right here, if you want to do the same thing, right here we have a buy signal, right? The trend meter down here is green. Those 2 line up, you enter another buy right here, another full TP. So as you can see right here, it's super simple. Again, right here, I mean, how many times you guys want to win? There you go. Another full TP right there. And this is just another strategy. I mean, if you go on the website, there's a whole bunch of different strategies here that you can use. And they all pretty much work alike. They just have a different entry point. Sometimes they're the same, sometimes they're not. But yeah, so that's a quick breakdown of the original K2 intraday strategy. And then this entry right here also would have fell under the K2 pivot strategy as well. So it just really depends on what you want to apply it for. But they all work about the same way, because the thing with this right here, this would have been a pivot entry as well, because the overall trend is still up. We had a retracement from this point, price came up, retrace down right here, rejection right here, valid K2 signal right here, same entry using 2 different strategies. So that's it for Bitcoin. Let me go down the questions again. Let's see. Jason said, what the gold symbol if you were to enter trade? Can you show me on your chart? Yeah, Jason. So for gold, the symbol for gold is going to be XAU USD. So this is gold right here. If I applied the same exact strategies that I just showed you guys, it would have worked the same way right here as well. So same strategies here. I'll just go back to Bitcoin and I'll copy that over. So this is going to be the original intraday strategy for gold right here. So same thing right here, identify a valid K2 signal. Right here, we have a buy signal. Confirm the trend meter matches the signal. They're both green and green, right? So we have those matched up. You enter on the open of the falling candle right here. And there you go, I hit full TP right there. Same situation over here. You would have entered that one, another full TP. This wouldn't be a valid buy signal because it's a red bearish candle within a green buy signal. So we'd skip that. There's another valid buy signal right here. We'd skip these two right here because this green doesn't match this down here. It's blue down here. Right here is an invalid buy signal. And then right here, we have a valid buy signal. So these match up. Enter a buy entry right there. Another full TP. And then another full TP right there. And that's using the original K2 intraday strategy. So if you wanted to use the pivot strategy as well, you can use that too. And it's the same difference. So with this strategy here, same thing. Identify the overall trend using the K2 pivots. Here you can see prices above the pivots are spread out. And I can even show you real time. So if I was to show you guys, playing this out real time, I would just rewind time to there. So right here, identify the overall trend. As you can see right here, prices above the pivots are all angling upwards and they're spread out. So that's going to confirm an overall uptrend. So once you've confirmed that, you identify the retracement. You can see right here, price swung down, swung up, then it retraced back down, right? It's requirement number 2. Requirement number 3, identify a rejection off the K2 pivot area. So right here, price was going up. Then from this point, it retraced down to here. And then it rejected off this point, and then it swung back up. So that would fulfill requirement number 2 and 3, because right here we had this retracement, right here was a rejection. And lastly, you identify the valid K2 signal. Right here we have a valid buy signal. So once all those 4 requirements have been met, you can enter on the open of the falling candle. So right here, we enter a long position, put the stop loss at the previous swing, which could be, I guess, somewhere around here. TPs at equal distance away. And then if you let that run, let's see, it freeze up on me. I don't know what happened to gold. All right, cool. So let me go back over here. So it looks like it froze up on me, but I'll just go back to that. Actually, it wasn't on that one. So we were looking at this one right here, right? So let me just go back and rewind that. But yeah, same difference right here. All requirements are met. You let that run and obviously hit full TP right there. So as you can see, the K2 strategies work on all assets. You can use it on Bitcoin, gold, any commodity, any indice, any Forex pair. It's all based on momentum. So as long as the asset has momentum, then you can trade, the K2 strategies on it. So there's one entry right there. Here's another entry right here. Same thing. Identify the overall trend. Prices above the pivots. The pivots are angling up and they're spread out. That's going to confirm a trend upwards. Identify a retracement. You can see right here, price comes up and then it retraces from this point to this point down here, right? So that's requirement number 2. There's a retracement. And then now we look at requirement number 3. Identify a rejection off the K2 pivot area. You can see price retrace from this point, rejects off this point, and swings right back up. So once all those 3 requirements have been met, we just need to identify a valid K2 signal. Right here is a valid buy signal, since it's a buy signal with a green bullish candle. So once those requirements have been met, you can enter on the open of the following candle. So right here, we enter a long position, and then we let it run. And let's see. And there you go, full TP. Easy as that. But yeah, so that's pretty much the K2 pivot strategy. You just saw that it works on, Bitcoin, it works on gold, it works on anything really. But yeah, so that's about it for those 2 pairs. Let's see if there's any other questions here. Jason, does that answer your question? Just want to make sure that it did, because your question said, what the gold symbol if you were to enter trade? Can you show me on your chart? So yeah, this would be the symbol right here. I'm not sure if that answered your question or if you're trying to ask something else, but this would be the gold symbol. It'd be XAU USD. And if you type that up right here, it'll come up right there. And me personally, I always use Forex.com data. I feel like Forex.com has the most accurate data with regard to Forex pairs and certain commodities like gold and silver. However, for indices, I generally use currency.com. Yeah, okay, so that goes it for, I think that's it for the questions right now. If you guys have any other questions, feel free to let me know. Otherwise, you know, we're just going to keep looking at whatever pairs are on the watch list right now. But yeah, I know we have a different group today because we've come on a little later. So I know, you know, this isn't the normal group. I tried to accommodate for people in other time zones because I know that not everyone can come on at our normal time. So today, if you guys are new here and you guys haven't been to any of the webinars, feel free to ask any questions you have in the chat and I can answer pretty much any question you guys have. Otherwise, if we don't have any questions, I'm just going to go down the list and see if there's any entries for the next upcoming 4-hour candle close. Let's see. John said, does TV long short tool automatically pick up TP and stop loss based on some algorithm? Yeah, John. So basically, this is what you could do. So what you could do is, so say if you wanted to enter like this buy right here, right? I'll just replay to that point. And if you zoom out, so this is how to get the, you know, the perfect TPS and stop loss. So you just zoom out, you click on the long tool, and then you place it where you want to enter. And what it does is it puts the stop loss at the previous swing, and then it factors in the ATR, the average true range. So by doing that, it gives you pretty much a spot on TP stop loss. But so the problem with this is that it'll sometimes set you a little far back, especially if you're trading something like US 30. So US 30 on the 4-hour time frame, this is a huge move. This is like a 6,000 pip move. So, you know, you might not want to take a trade that's that wide. So it'll vary from, you know, different time frame. So like right here, if you set that up and you let it run, I mean, it would have hit full TP, but you probably would have been sweating because, you know, this is a huge stop loss to be having for US 30. So if you wanted to look at it on the shorter time frames, you can do the same thing. So like right here on the 4-hour, it was about a 6,000 pip move. And that's because it incorporates the whole chart. That's why I zoom out from here to incorporate everything. But if you go on the shorter time frame, like say the 10-minute, let me just delete everything off here. And say you wanted to enter this buy right here, right? Or even over here, this is probably a cleaner buy. So if you want to enter this, you do the same thing, zoom out, use the long tool and place it right there. And you can see that it's a huge difference. So on the 4-hour time frame, the TP stop loss was like 6,000 pips. Right here on the 10-minute, it's only about 1,300 pips. So it's a huge difference. But you can see right here that it still measures it pretty much on point, even though it's on the shorter time frame. So it does still hit. I mean, it's still a bit of a long, you know, hold for this, but you can see that it would have hit full TP in about 12 hours. That might be too long to hold for US 30. I mean, it just really depends on you. Like we discussed in the chat, it just really depends on, you know, your experience with trade psychology. Because for me, if I would have taken this trade, I would have just let it run. But for other people, you know, they might have wanted to close once it got to a certain point, or like, yes, price moved in profit, they might have moved their stop loss to like break even. Or, you know, if they're following my exit strategy, they probably would have moved their stop loss to like TP2 or something, which is about 50% somewhere over here. It just really depends on the trader, you know. Like I give you guys all this advice on how to, you know, actively manage the trade, but it's really up to you guys how you guys want to manage it yourself, because not everyone has thick skin to let it run. You know, it took me a long time to get to that point where I can just set and forget it. But you know, once you trade for long enough, you'll get to that point where you just set and forget it. Sam Wilson, can you explain the US 30 exit strategy? So Sam, there's no specific US 30 exit strategy. It's the same strategy that the same exit strategy that we use for every single asset that we trade. But the way that it's used is, so if we were to enter this trade over here, I'll choose that same example. So if we were to enter this trade right here, you know, generally US 30 has maybe 2 or 3 TPs. Lately, it's only had 2, where it's about 50% mark. So it'd be somewhere around here. Or we could even be exact if you guys want to be super exact. But it's the same exit strategy that we've always used. You know, nothing's ever been changed. Basically, we would set this as our TP1 or TP2, depending on how many TPs we set. Generally, like, let me look at our last one. So our last one over here. Okay, let's see. So you can see right here, I set 2 TPs, right? Generally, TP1 is going to be at 50% and TP2 is going to be at full TP. So right here, this would be full TP and this would be TP1 right here. So basically, when price reaches this point, you're supposed to move your stop loss to TP1. I don't know why a lot of people get confused with this. A lot of people ask if they're supposed to move to break even. It's never been that. It's always been here. So basically, when price goes up to TP1, right there. So once price goes to TP1 like it did right here, you're supposed to move your stop loss to TP1. This is what I advise, but you know, it's really up to you or whichever trader, how you want to manage your trade. You don't have to move your stop loss there. That's just my advice. So in this situation right here, if price was to pull back like it did right there, you would have gone stopped out at TP1. And how could you be mad at making 750 pips, you know? So that's what I mean about, you know, following what I advise, because the thing is, not everyone does this, but if you do this, you know, you're almost guaranteed to hit TP1 almost every single time. But if you guys want to let it run, you guys can do that too. But you can see here, price kind of pulls back before it shoots all the way back up. So this is what I mean about trade psychology. You know, with me, I'm probably like pretty sure that I knew that it was going to come back up because I just trust the trade. However, if you're a new trader and you see this happening right here, you know, a new trader is going to freak out because they're like, crap, I was already this much in profit. I should just listen to Shawn and move my stop loss in profit. But if it moves into the negative, like it did right here, you know, this would freak out a lot of other traders. So it's really up to you if you want to follow the exit strategy. But for me, I run 2 positions. So I have one position where I actually adjust my stop loss. And then for my second position, I let it run to either full TP or stop loss. So in this situation right here, if I was taking this trade live, which I probably did, this was on the 11th. If I was taking this live, then I would have locked in half profit right here. And then my other position was running to full TP or stop loss. So in this situation right here, I would have made 1.5 profit. And then if I lost for that first position, I would have made half profit, right? So technically my loss would have only been half. But I mean, you guys are familiar with the K² US 30 results. You know, more times than not, they usually hit full TP. So, you know, overall, you're going to be in profit in the long run, depending on which strategy you apply, whether you let it run to full TP or if you keep adjusting your stop loss to TP1 to exit at half TP. Because I don't know how many times we've even hit stop loss in the last, let's see what the results are. So for indices, yeah, so for October week 1, we had 4 wins and 0 losses. So if you just let it run a full TP stop loss, you would have made, you know, 500 or 5,250 pips. Same with last week. You know, we only had 2 wins. So in total, we're up 6 wins and 0 losses for the official calls that I call. So if there's trades that have been called that weren't called by me and they weren't called in this premium signals channel, they're not going to be counted. I know a lot of people are asking why Marcus's calls weren't included in here, and that's because I didn't call those trades. You know, all the trades here that I call are trades that I actually take. But anyone is free to put their own trades within the trade talk. This is an open forum where anyone can share their trades. Just because someone shares their trades doesn't mean that they're an official call. So, you know, just to keep that clear, all of these results here, are trades that I have posted in the premium signals channel. So if you go back and look at all the trades that I've called, you'll see that they have all been documented. And I just want to make that clear because I know there's a lot of confusion there, and people are asking, why the other trades aren't included, and they're not included because I didn't call them. And the only official call, all official calls that are documented here are the ones that I've called. All the wins, all the losses, doesn't matter, win or loss, they're going to be called here regardless, and they're going to be documented within the full results over here. And then another thing that a lot of people were asking were the win percentage. So we always have a lot of new people that join K2 and they want to ask, what's the win percentage? So here, I'll break it down for you guys right now. So right here, this is going to be all of the Forex calls that we've made for this year. So January, February, March, April, May, June, July, August, September, October, up to this date. So in total, we have 422 wins and 135 losses. So if you add that up, 422 plus 135 is going to be a total of 557 trades. So if we divide 422 wins by 557 total trades, we're sitting at a 76% win rate right now for Forex. That's overall for the whole year. Official documented calls that have been recorded. That's gonna be Forex. For indices, which is basically just US 30 and some NASDAQ and some S&P. In the beginning, I called some other indices, but there's really no point in calling those because we do well enough with US 30. So, if you guys have been with us for a while, you guys know that I'm more about quality over quantity. So I'm going to call good trades versus calling a lot of trades that are just mediocre trades. So right here, you can see for our indices calls, we have 65 wins and 12 losses. So it's a total of 77 trades. So we divide 65 wins by 75 trades, or 77 trades total. And our win rate is at 84%. So that's pretty good for indices. For FX, we're at 76. For indices, we're at 84%. So I don't know if that's good to you guys. It looks pretty good to me. But yeah, those are our win percentages total so far. And just a reminder for indices, I just started trading indices in May. So that's why we only have documentation from May until September, May until this date in October. But yeah, we're just going to keep continuing the results. At the end of every week, I put new results up and I just add to whatever we had in the past. So that's pretty much it. Let's see. Sandeep said, can we apply the same rules for TP stop loss for all indices? Let's see. Yeah, Sandeep. So, it doesn't matter whichever asset you trade. I always put the stop loss at the previous swing, depending on which strategy you're applying. So if you're applying one of the normal strategies, then the stop loss is always going to be at the previous swing. So like right here, if we were to take this buy, we would have entered our buy position right there. Stop loss would be somewhere a little bit below the previous swing, which would be maybe somewhere around here, because you kind of want to give it some cushion. But so that's where the stop loss and TP would be, right there. And then obviously hit full TP. Same situation with, say, this entry over here. If we were to enter a buy, long position right there. Stop loss at the previous swing. So the thing with the previous swing is it could be very subjective. It could either be here, it could be here, it could be here. It just depends on where you identify the swing. Generally, I like there to be some cushion. So I usually take the farthest one back, which would be around here for like 107. But it wouldn't really matter because, so like right here, it would end up hitting, let's see, does it hit full TP? Yeah, eventually would have hit full TP, but it doesn't really matter because if you took this trade here and you put your stop loss right here, it still would have hit full TP. You put it right here, it would still hit full TP. It just really depends on how much you're looking to risk. But if you're talking about the daily K2 US 30 strategy, that's completely different. So you got, if you could be a little more detailed with your question about, your TP stop loss. Normally this would be the normal TP stop loss. It'd be at the previous swing. However, if you're applying the daily US 30 strategy, then that's going to be set at 1500 pips. And that's been set because I've back tested that specific strategy probably 2 to 5 years back. And I found the sweet spot to be 1500 pips. And that's only for US 30. That's not going to be the same across to S&P or NASDAQ, because the thing with those different indices is that they're measured differently. But if you're putting at the previous swing, it's going to be the same for pretty much any indices. So like right here, we have this for US 30. If we're looking at S&P and we're looking for, some sort of entry over here, like a pivot entry over here, it would be the same thing. So say if we wanted to enter like this pivot entry over here, you put your stop loss at the previous swing, which it probably wouldn't be here. It's too close. So I'd put it back here and give it some space. And you can see right there that it respects it perfectly. See, it literally hit TP before it came right back, crashing right back down. And then again, right here, there's another entry. You put your long position right there, stop loss at the previous swing. It could be here, or it could be here, or it could be here. There's 3 different swings here. I don't trade S&P, so I don't know if this is too close or if this is too wide. But generally, I would probably put it at this one because this just looks too close, like just looking at it from a bird's eye view. So somewhere right there. And there it goes, another full TP. If you want to look at NASDAQ, same exact thing there. Same thing here. If you wanted to enter, these are all pivot entries because you can see prices above the pivots. We have a retracement, rejection, buy signal. So right here, if you were to take this NASDAQ, you enter a long position right here, put your stop loss at the previous swing, which would probably be somewhere down here, 459, and then you let it run. And there you go. It's the same exact thing. And this is why it lines up so perfectly. You can see right here hit TP before it pulled back. And then again, if you wanted to look for another entry, see if there's another buy entry somewhere that I can just show you. Okay, so right here. So I skipped these right here because they're invalid buy signals. It's a buy signal with a red bearish candle. Same with right here. But right here, we have a valid signal. So as you can see from the K2 pivot strategy, prices above the pivots are angling up and they're spread out. So it's going to confirm an uptrend. You're going to see a retracement right here as price comes up, retraces down, a rejection off the K2 pivots right here, and then a buy signal. Once all those are met, you enter a long position on the open of the falling candle. Put your stop loss at the previous swing. This looks like it's a little too close, so I'll put it way down here to this swing over here for about 851. And then you pretty much just let it run. And there you go. We hit another full TP. So as you can see, that's a pretty safe rule of thumb for any asset. You can use this for indices. You can use it for Bitcoin, like I went over earlier. We put our stop loss at the previous swing. Right here, it was the same difference. So if we entered a buy right here, I'd put the stop loss at the swing. Same with right here. Same with right here. Same with currencies as well. So if you were trading currencies and you wanted to, let's see, like it's kind of messy, but I'll just show you guys anyway. So like right here, if you wanted to enter a pivot entry, prices above the pivots are angling upwards, they're spread out. That's a clear uptrend. Here's a retracement, price comes up, retraces from this point, comes straight down right here, rejection off the K2 pivot area down here, buy signal right there, enter long position, put your stop loss at the previous swing down here. I give it a little space. And then you let it run. And then you can see that it got really close to the stop loss, but it didn't hit it, right? And that's why this is such a critical area to put your stop loss at the previous swing. So like right here, price came down and it shot straight to TP. This is how you don't get caught in these tricks, because the thing with a lot of these market makers, institutions, they know where people are putting the stop losses. So if you put your stop loss too close, they'll stop you out before they shoot it straight to full TP. So right here, you can see that, the same strategy that I applied on Bitcoin, I applied it on indices, I applied it on Forex, I applied it on gold, same exact strategy, same exact stop loss TP, and it works on everything all along, all across the board. So, it just really depends on how you want to trade it, but that goes to show that it works on pretty much anything as long as you use it properly. So that's the pivot strategy. Let's see if there's anything else here. I think I covered all the main things. I don't know if you guys have any other questions about anything specific. If you guys do, feel free to ask, and then we can go over those questions. Otherwise, let's see if there's anything up here. All right, cool. So we have nothing on the Zoom. We have nothing in the chat. So I'm going to get, as of now, I'm just going to go down the pairs and see if there's anything to enter. But if we don't have any other questions, I'm probably going to call this webinar session off a little earlier, since we want to prepare for the next 4-hour candle close, which is in about 2 hours from now. So this candle is going to close in about 2 hours and 9 minutes. So I'm going to scan the chart, see if there's anything there. And then if not, we're just going to take a small break, and then we're going to come back to look for any last minute trades before we close out for the day. So let's see, odd CAD right here. Nothing here. So if we do get a buy signal, then obviously we take this buy to the next zone over here, but there's no buy signal right now. So currently we still have a sell bias. So since we have a sell bias right here, the only way that I would take a trade for this specific pair was if price would come down and close below the zone right here. So nothing for odd CAD right now. Here's our odd CHF. Everything's moving pretty slow. This is why it's kind of hard for us to trade live during Asia session, because the market's just really slow. Unless we spot something right at candle close, then that'd provide for an entry. However, generally it doesn't really happen too often, aside from yesterday where we had these, AUD pairs that hit TP really quickly. So odd NZ, there's nothing there for the odd pairs. We technically have 3 of these still active. So odd CHF is still active, odd JPY is active, and odd USD is active. So there's nothing else to enter from those. This is a CAD CHF pair that I was looking at earlier this morning. I was going to call it, but then I tried to correlate it with the other CHF pairs and they just weren't matching. So it just didn't look like a good trade. Good thing I didn't call it because it's in drawdown right now. CAD JPY. This was a trade that I wanted to call earlier today because this provided for a zone entry. However, I thought it was too close to the next zone, which is why I didn't call it. So you can see right here, price just got a little too close. I mean, technically still would have been a decent trade because we would have hit probably TP1 and TP2 by now, but it's just too risky for me to want to call it, because the thing is, I don't want to call this trade. Someone enters it and forgets to move their stop loss and profit, and then it just rejects on them. So that's one reason why I didn't call this trade, although it does look like a decent trade right now. CHF JPY, this is the one that I just went over for Jonathan earlier. Basically, we were waiting for price to close below the zone. However, if price doesn't close below the zone, then it's not going to provide for any entry, and we're just going to skip this. Euro odd right here. There was a buy entry right here. I didn't call it because it happened. I forgot what happened. I think there was news during that time. Let's see. That was on the 12th. That was yesterday. So yesterday there was, there was news. The GBP was speaking at 9 a.m. That's why I didn't call this trade. Unfortunately, this would have been a great trade. If we took this right here, it pushed up a nice 75 pips. Okay, so we have a sell signal right here. If this closes, we might be able to ride this down to this zone right here for about, it's a little risky. It's only 30 pips, so I'm probably not going to call that trade. Euro CAD right here. If this candle closes below this zone, it's going to provide for a zone entry, and then we can probably ride that down to this next zone over here for about 26 pips. But like I mentioned earlier, I don't like to take any trades when there's not enough cushion there. I like there to be at least 25 pips easy before I take any of these trades, because the thing is, I don't want to enter this trade and then as soon as it reaches this point, it rejects off it and then shoots right back up. So if there's not enough space there, I'm probably not going to call that trade. It doesn't look like there's enough, but it would probably provide for a decent entry. That's why I didn't call this one right here, because you can see that the space between this this entry right here and this zone was only 9 pips. The thing is, the spread's like 2 or 3 pips. It's probably wider for other brokers if you're not trading on something that has a tight spread. And you know, make it impossible for you to make any profit like off this trade if this was this close, and then you have to cover the spread both ways, going in the trade and exiting the trade as well. So Euro CHF. Yeah, this was another one that I was looking at. It looked like a decent buy. However, like I was looking at CAD CHF over here, I didn't see that they were correlating very well with their direction. That's why I didn't take that trade as well. Good thing I didn't, because they retraced back a little bit. Not a crazy amount, but it still would be in the negative right now, 5 pips. EG right here. Nothing here. If we get a buy signal and then it closes above the zone, then we can take this and ride it up to the next zone over here for about a 40 pip move. EJ is like pulling back a little bit, but it's still looking good. EN over here is still in profit. We haven't hit TP1 yet, but it looks like it's still coming down right now. Our EUs, like what I discussed earlier, you know, it's just pulling back slightly right now. The thing with EU is that a lot of the USD pairs are strong right now. So if price is coming downwards, like it is right here, then that means that the second currency is stronger than the first currency. Vice versa, when price is going up, that means that the first currency is stronger than the second currency. So right now, we're in a sell for Euro USD. And the reason why I trust that this is going to come down is because, well, it pulled up right now, but earlier it was coming down as well. So for AU, it was coming down. Our EU is coming down as well. GU is coming down over here. And this is a different type pair. They're not correlated as much as these pairs right here for AU, EU, and GU. So this wasn't bothering me that much. But looking over here at Euro USD, so I mean not Euro USD, USD CAD, like I mentioned earlier, price is going up. That signifies that the first currency is stronger than the second. So that showed that the US dollar was strong on AU, EU, GU, and UCAD. Same with USD CHF over here. So you can see for UCAD, for both of the UCs, they're both going up. So that's signifying that the US dollar is stronger than the Swiss franc. And then same for UJ right here. So UJ is a little different as well. It's kind of similar to like NJ. I mean, yeah, NU, I mean, sorry, these two right here. So that's why I just disregarded these two. But if you look at the other pairs, AU, EU, GU, UCAD, and UCHF, they all show strength for the US dollar. So that's why I'm not too worried about EU right now. We would just have to wait off on it and see how it plays out. Because we do have US news tomorrow morning at 5:30. This is probably going to be, let's see. Yeah, so if you look at the news here, it says it's only going to be off by like a few pips. I mean, not a few pips, a few percentage points. So I don't think it's going to be that, like, it's going to have a huge impact, but I think it's probably going to affect the US dollar in a good way. So that's why I anticipate it to drop, you know, come tomorrow. But let's see. Okay, so Taylor wants me to check out gold real quick. Let me pull up gold. Here we go, XAU USD. So looking at gold right here, I'm going to start off by drawing the zones. And if you guys aren't familiar with the K2SR zones, basically what the K2SR zones do is they plot the strongest rejection points on the chart for you. And they go back pretty far in data. So you can trust that they're pretty strong. And I'll show you guys what I mean by that when I zoom out of here. So what I do is I just draw my own zones over the K2SR zone so that they're a little bit cleaner, because you can see right here that they're not shaded in. But if you use the rectangle tool, you're able to draw these zones pretty quickly. So once you have these zones on the chart, I just hide the K2SR indicator. I zoom out from here, and you can see that these zones are pretty strong. So if you go back over here, you can see that Actually, we're looking at gold. Gold's a little different. So gold is a directional asset, and that's why it moves, you know, in one direction. It's not like Forex where it goes back and forth. So if I show you something like UJ over here, you can see that price has tested this area like way in the past. So like the same area where it's testing right now, it's tested it in March of this year, and it's also tested it in August of 2019. However, for gold, it's a little different. It's a directional pair. However, the same zones have been tested in the past as well. So you can see right here that the last time this area has been tested was in July of this year, which is pretty good because you can see that it creates these strong support zones right here where you can trade off. So, you know, once we have these zones right here, you can see that price generally respects these zones, and price generally just bounces right off them. So price comes up, comes down, rejection, comes up, consolidates. And then you can start seeing patterns just by looking at where the rejection points are. So you can see right here, price was coming down and then it rejected off this point. However, it looks like it might continue to come down. I mean, depending on how the news is tomorrow, because you do have US news, which is going to affect gold directly. So this is the thing with gold right now. Gold can either continue back down to test this zone over here and, you know, establish some sort of double bottom right here if it hasn't already right here. And then it might just shoot back up and test this zone over here. But looking at gold over here, once we have these zones set up, what I do is I turn on the K² momentum indicator. And now I know the direction of momentum. So this is why I was having a sell bias, because our last signal right here was a sell momentum signal. So in this situation, I was anticipating this to come from this point and come down and test this next zone over here, if not test this lower zone down here as well. Because if you look back at the previous momentum candles, you can see that once we have a sell signal, it breaks the zone right here. What happens? It comes down and tests this next zone over here. And then if it breaks this zone right here, it tests this next zone again right here. Same situation over here. We have a buy signal. It tests this zone, rejects over here. But once it pushes back up and breaks above this zone over here, in this area, it comes from this point and tests this next zone over here. So you can see right here that price basically goes from zone to zone. And that's why I always recommend the zone strategy as the most accurate strategy, because if you just look at the charts, it literally does that. You get a signal and it just goes from that area to the next zone. You get a sell signal, that zone, buy signal up there. Same situation right here. We have a sell signal, it closed below this area. It's probably going to come down and test this zone over here. However, if we get a buy signal, then my bias will change, because right here, you can see that once we had this buy signal and then it closed above this zone, it pushed up pretty nicely. So that's why right now I'm just looking at this as a sell still until we get a buy signal. If we get a buy signal, then I'm going to see it as a buy, and I'm going to see it pushing up to either this zone, or this zone, you know, until we get that next signal in the opposite direction. So for gold right now, it looks pretty indecisive, because the thing is, we still have the sell momentum right now. Until we get some sort of buy momentum indicator like this or like this, then I'm not going to look at any buys, because the thing is, this could just be retracing up a little bit, you know, till who knows how far, maybe up to here, maybe up to here, maybe up to here. But if we don't get that buy signal, then I'm still anticipating this to come crashing back down, because that's just the direction of momentum. And as you can see right here, there's a ton of news coming up. So we have that news tomorrow morning, then we have news the rest of the week. So the thing is, when this news happens, it could literally spike price way up or way down. So I'd be careful with gold. I know a lot of people love to trade gold. A lot of people lose money trading gold. So be very careful. I personally don't trade gold anymore, because I just stuck with US 30 since I found US 30 to be so profitable. But yeah, you know, for gold right now, I still have a sell bias, but we won't really know until we see some actual movement. This might even just go sideways until London open, because generally, if you follow gold the same time every day, it usually, you know, price usually moves pretty slow. And then once we get to London open, like right here, that's when you start to see the volatility. So you can see right here, price was slow from like 1800 until London Open right here, and then you see a huge spike in price. So me personally, I would probably just wait for London Open if you're thinking about entering a gold position and just catch that London breakout, rather than, you know, putting in a buy or putting in a sell. And then as soon as London happens, like London breakout happens, it'll spike in your opposite direction. And then you would have just felt like you should have just waited for, you know, the actual London breakout. But, you know, it's really up to you. I don't trade gold, so I can't really give my specific opinion on which way to trade it. But if you're going with the direction of momentum, obviously, you know, we have a sell signal right here. So I'm still on a sell bias for this specific pair. Let's see. Trading for a living said Euro NZD looks like it's hitting support. Let's check it out. Maybe. Let's see. So actually it is. Well, not fully yet. I didn't see the zone earlier. I think this was a new zone that was created probably recently. So yeah, it looks like Euro NZD did hit a zone right here. Let me see if I could just adjust this. That's crazy because I drew these zones yesterday. So I would have figured that this zone would have been there already because it's tested on the 4th. But let's see. So I'm just going to create a new zone right here. Yeah, it looks like it was a new zone that was just created recently. But yes, it did hit a support. But that doesn't necessarily mean that it's going to, because it could literally break right through it. But it is at a support right now. So thanks for bringing that up, trading for a living. I didn't see that yesterday when we drew these zones out. But it did hit. It didn't hit the full support yet because it still has a way to go down here. But by the time it hits that, it's probably going to hit TP1 for us. So it's probably going to hit TP1. Then once it hits TP1, it might retrace a little bit. And then it might consolidate within this zone before it either, you know, breaks down and comes crashing down to full TP. So yeah, that's a good thing to look out for. Currently, let's see the rest of the Euro pairs to see if they're all coming down. So this is the correlation that I'm looking for here. So since we're taking Euro NZD for a sell, I'm going to go down all the Euro pairs and see if they're all coming down as well. So they're coming down right here. This shows that the Euro is weak. Euro CAD, it's coming down as well. Euro is weak. Euro CHF, it's coming down as well. The Euro is weak across the board. EG, it's kind of just going sideways, but this is EG, so normally this goes sideways anyways. EJ right here, it's coming down as well. EN, it's coming down. EU, it's coming down as well. So that's why I'm not too worried about that support. I know that there's a support there, but I'm not too worried about it because you know, all of the Euro pairs show weakness in the Euro, and that's why I anticipate to break right through the support and hit our TP. Another thing we can do is we can look at the NZD pairs. So since we're trading Euro NZD, we've already confirmed that the Euro is pretty much weak across the board. Now we can look at the NZD pairs to see if the NZD pairs are in power. So let's go to odd NZD. This is kind of a weird pair, but it is coming down. It's a weird pair because both of these currencies kind of move in the same direction. However, just looking at this here, you can see that the NZD is stronger than the AUD right now. So it's coming down. We'll look at the next NZD pair, GN right here. It's also coming down, shows strength in the New Zealand dollar. And then looking at NZD CAD, it's coming up, shows strength in NZD. Same with NZD CHF, same with NZD JPY, and the same with NZD USD. So if all of the NZDs are in strength and all of the Euros are weak, then this gives us confirmation that this is probably going to come down more likely than not. So I'm not too worried about EN right now. But when it does move into profit and it hits our TP, I'm probably going to move my stop loss and profit just to guarantee those profits and protect my position in case anything crazy happens. But yeah, guys, I think that's it for the question. So it's about 8 o'clock. I was going to take a little break before we look for the next 4-hour candle close, which is going to be in about 1 hour and 50 minutes. So if you guys have any other questions, feel free to put them in the chat. I'll hang around for a little bit, see if there's anything else that you guys want to talk about. Otherwise, I'm probably going to get off for a little bit, like maybe about an hour. And then if you guys have any questions, I'll be available in the Telegram chat. So if you guys there's anything you want me to analyze any further, or if you guys want me to cover anything specific, I can do that as well. But yeah, it just, we have a different group today because like I said, I started this webinar a little later. That's probably why you don't have enough questions, because there's a lot of new people here that aren't familiar with, how we handle our webinar. So if there's not any other questions, I'm going to just hang on for another 1-2 minutes. And then if not, I'll be on the Telegram to answer questions after I take a break. I just don't want to burn myself out before we get to 10 p.m. I've been on this chart all day. But let's take a look at everything else we have active right now. Yeah, odd CHF, it looks like it's still going to come back down. It might reject off this point, come back down. Odd JPY, it's looking fine. I don't know why this alert's still here. Let me refresh it. Sometimes it doesn't. Okay, there we go. So it did hit TP right there. That's why the alert's gone. Same with, or maybe AU didn't hit TP2 yet. Let me see. Okay, yeah. So AU to USD didn't hit TP2. It only hit TP1, which is fine. I think it's going to come down since the US dollar is showing strength across the board. EJ is looking all right. EN is looking all right too. EU is okay. NZD CAD. Hopefully this rejects right off it. So if this doesn't close above it right there, then I probably anticipate it to come crashing back down. Maybe I'll make a second entry, but I wouldn't make an entry right now. A lot of people were asking me if they could re-enter NZD CAD for a better entry, and this wouldn't be a better entry because the thing is, price already hit TP2 down here. And if you're following the exit strategy, then that would have provided to be stopped out in profit. So that's why I wouldn't consider this a reentry. I would consider this a reentry if price was to close back down here below the zone and the momentum candle was red. Right here we have a buy momentum. That's why I'm not telling you guys to enter this trade right now, because I don't think it's a good trade to enter. But if we have a sell signal and it closes below the zone, then it would provide for a pretty decent reentry. But this is a weird pair. Like NZD CAD usually moves kind of weird. Like you can see right here, it does move smoothly for the most part, but generally it has a lot of whipsaws. Like it'll go in one direction and then it's whipsaw in the other direction. Like right here, price came down, then it whipsawed up and came back down. And it's not something that I really like to trade very often. But if I do see a trade available, obviously I would call it. But yeah, guys, okay, so I think that's it for the questions. So if you guys have any other questions, feel free to ask me on Telegram. I'm going to be gone for maybe about 30 minutes. I'm going to go walk my dog real quick. And then when I get back, then I can answer some more questions. But yeah, guys, thanks for showing up. If you guys are new here, just remember that I do this every Tuesday and Thursday. Generally, it's at 4 p.m. Pacific Daylight Savings Time. However, today I tried to accommodate for a lot of our members that are located in other parts of the world, like in Europe, India, areas like that. So if you guys want me to hold this at different times, just let me know and I can accommodate for you guys. Because obviously I want to help and teach everyone that wants to learn. So yeah, guys, thanks for showing up. I'll post the replay on the Telegram in a little bit if you guys missed it, or if you guys want to rewind and see what I was talking about earlier in the chat. But yeah, till then, guys, I'll be back in about 30